playing with confidence. Surges it inside 50.
Inside 50, good hands.
Drilling it into centre half forward. That was end-to-end football at its best.
Back-to-back goals either side of quarter time.
They have done it, the Bulldogs!
I'd find somebody for you. There ain't no wall I will run through. In your corner when they're ringing the bell. Come hell or high water. I'd find somebody for you.
Yes, hello WAFL fans. Welcome one and all to another big edition of Around the WAFL on the Around the WAFL YouTube channel and on your go-to podcast service. Well, what a weekend it was in WAFL football. Not just in the Sullivan Logistics WAFL competition, but also in the ATCO WAFL W. A couple of thrillers on the weekend and we'll recap them all for you here today. My name's Paul Persick. Great to have your company and it's great to have this man back in the chair. A man that's going to be one of the voices for one of the co-main events on State Game Day on Saturday. Ethan Roth. Rothy, welcome back, mate. We missed you.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, great to be back and exciting week ahead. We stop the calendar this time of year to lay our eyes on State Week, and it's a beautiful week ahead.
No doubt about it. It is a fantastic week in football with WA taking on South Australia on Saturday for the Hayden Bunton Junior Cup, and also with the WAFL W taking on the SANFLW on Saturday. We'll talk more about that a little later, because later on in the show we're going to be chatting with Poppy Stockwell from the Perth Football Club, and also in just a matter of moments, Jack Sears, the Peel Thunder captain, off the back of their win over East Perth this past weekend. Rothy, State Game Week, it's one of the best weeks in football and it's drawing ever closer. And a reminder to our fans, tickets are only $10 for all three games of the day at Sullivan Logistics Stadium. Why not be anywhere else than at Sullivan Logistics Stadium on Saturday?
Yeah, it's going to be a showpiece event with the three games, as you said, starting the 18s and the 20s, going into the WAFL W Sanford and then Sanford W and then the men's after that. So, yeah, it's going to be a great day at Leederville.
And you'll be on the call with El Supremo of South Australia, John Casey, for the women's game. Mate, you are going to be rocking and rolling along.
Yeah, really excited about the opportunity. Obviously, with someone of John Casey's calibre being, such an established broadcaster, not only in football, but broader sport. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
As one that has called with John Casey before, 4 years ago, mate, have yourself a blast. You are going to love it, calling with El Supremo. And tell him if WA win, I say hello.
Yes, make sure to get that across.
No doubt about it. All right, let's get down to business here on Around the WAFL. Peel Thunder, they're back on track with 2 wins on the trot, but gee, they had to fight hard against East Perth over the weekend. They got home by 6 points and a real confidence-boosting win for the Thunder heading into the state game break. And their captain has been one of the keys. Joining us down the line here on Around the WAFL is the captain of the Peel Thunder Football Club, Jack Sears. Jack, hello, mate.
Hey, boys. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Great to have you on the show. That win certainly must have sparked up the players a little bit. I know the next match is not for another 2 weeks, but that win over East Perth, 6 points at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, really has bolstered the side and has rejuvenated the side.
Yeah, it's given us a lot of confidence. Obviously, we lost 2 games in a row by 1 point, so we've lost a few close ones already this year. So to get up in a close game is obviously rewarding, and it gives us a lot of confidence leading into after South Freo after the bye.
Just on that as well, like 2 1-point losses, then you finally get on the other side of it. Talk us about the emotion and, you just highlight it there, but the confidence being on the other end of that, and I guess the experience that players can take from winning a tight game versus losing one.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of experience from probably both those scenarios. I think we're getting used to playing in close games, which can almost be a good thing, especially leading into the second half of the year. So it gives us confidence knowing that we're capable of winning those close games because, for a while there, I think East Perth are coming pretty strong late. So, to hold them off and to get the 4 points there, it's rewarding.
Tell me about Lockie Tardra. He's been a real standout this season, coming over from the VFL, 12 tackles on the weekend. He is quite a tackling machine.
Oh, yeah, he's an absolute gun. He played 100 VFL games, captain Collingwood VFL, so he's obviously got a lot of experience playing on smaller grounds where tackling's probably needed a bit more than over here. So, he tackles well. He finds the footy a lot, especially the contested footy. So, he's a player we rely on to get in and under and then get it out to our runners. So, he's played a great role this year and he's probably been our best player over the first 5 games.
And talk to us about the upcoming week. Obviously, a lot of guys, featuring in the state team, and the guys who won't be get a rest. So, talk to us about the feelings this weekend, and I guess the people that you've versed so far in the season in the WAFL. Those, that's going to have to be put to the side to come together for the competition against the Sandful.
It's going to be a bit of an interesting week. So there's 3 of us Pure boys that will be going down to state over the next couple of days. Hopefully we can somehow pull together and get another win over there. But yeah, in terms of the Peel boys, they will train Tuesday, have Thursday and Saturday off, so it's good. I think we've played 3 pracky matches in a row into 6 games, and obviously our reserves are going really, really well as well. So I think as a leadership group and with talking to the coaches, I thought it was best that we have a couple of days away from the club, have pretty much a week away, get your own running done. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit different look for this week.
Certainly will be, especially with a lot of those Peel players in that state squad for this Saturday against South Australia. And, of course, you've got South Fremantle. I know you don't usually like to think too far ahead, but that game in 2 weeks' time against the reigning premiers, would you think that it's going to serve as a real big test for your side?
Oh, yeah, it'll be a massive test. Obviously, they've lost, 2 games over the last year and a half. So, yeah, we know that they're still pretty much the kings of the comp. So it's going to be a good bench to see where we are in terms of them. I think we are starting to play some good footy. So if we can put our best foot forward, I'm keen for the challenge in 2 weeks' time.
Great win on the weekend. All the best for the week break and also for 2 weeks' time against South Fremantle. Thanks for your time, Jack, here on Around the Waffle. Have a good week ahead.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, appreciate it. Bye.
That was Jack Sears, the captain of the Peel Thunder Football Club, joining us here on Around the Waffle. And a lot of those players are going to really find that stake break, really good use, because obviously Peel Thunder have had a hard 6 weeks, obviously with 3 close games, including the win in round 1 against East Fremantle and, of course, last Saturday. So, those close games really have taken a bit of a toll on the Peel side, but they're going to use that break to great effect, you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it comes at a good time. And, for the guys who are in the state team, they can, put their focus into that and, do the state proud.
Speaking of the state team, South Australia released theirs today at the time of the recording. We'll go into that later on in the show. And they've got a couple of surprising omissions that have not travelled to Perth as well. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that later on in the show. We'll take a break. And when we do come back, we'll recap all the action in round 6 of the Sullivan Logistics Waffle Premiership season. Gee, there was a lot of one-sided thrashings in this round. We'll recap it all here on Around the Waffle.
Take it from me, great things happen at the Waffle.
Valentine Roads and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The Waffle is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the Waffle on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate.
On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel and, of course, on every place you get your podcasts anywhere in the world. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you as we get to the recap of round 6 of the Sullivan Logistics Waffle Premiership season. And we started off at Fremantle Oval, Rothy, and Remember we talked last year about how the West Coast Eagles got the job done against South Fremantle? Well, there was no repeat of that in 2026, with the Bulldogs getting the job done quite easily to the tune of 61 points, 19-11, 125 to 10-4, 64. It was all down to a huge third quarter, Rothy, in which the Bulldogs kicked 8 goals to 2. That set up a massive victory, but it was a debutant forward that stole the show in Kluper Clark Daring with 5 goals.
Yeah, 5 majors, and he's really burst onto the scene in recent times, and any thought of history repeating itself was quickly dashed. They got off to a good start, kicking the first 4 goals, but then the West Coast tidied it up to get within just over a goal at half time. But then after that, South Fremantle just took the charge and really came home with a wet sail.
They certainly did. 19-11 dominant score, and they looked dominant all throughout the day, especially with the inside 50s. They had 9 more inside 50s, and the marks 111 to 79. And when you have the marking tally won by that sort of margin, you know you've controlled the game on your terms, and including the work of Bletchenden in midfield, Winder sensational with 28, and Ethan Hughes down the back line getting it 23 times, but to great effect as well. Not just Cooper Clark Daring up forward, Jordan Bollineau has found his home as a new role in that key forward. He kicked 3 goals. And he could complement the likes of Daring and Brendan Donaldson quite well, because he's another valuable option that the Bulldogs have got in their attacking setup.
Especially with Trey Rusco not in the side, and he's going to be out for a little while with a Europe trip. I think, these guys, that next wave, Clark Daring, Bollineau, who's really stepped up ever since round 1 came about. Donaldson, we know he's done it for many years now. Drage, Gear, these guys all hit the scoreboard in more ways than one. Lucas Robinson as well continued his impressive ways of adapting to league footy. So, South Fremantle was a real onslaught by the end of it. Obviously, a few injuries concerned to West Coast, highlighted by Jamie Cripps, which has been a lot made of.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that Cripps injury, it was reported that it was going to be an ACL. It turns out it's not. There's no damage to his ACL. It's more than his MCL that is being affected. But there's been a lot of talk about whether that is the end of his career. Fingers crossed for the Eagles' sake that it's not, but you get that feeling that might be the end.
Yeah, hopefully not. We'll wait and see. But I guess, he is 34 years of age, towards the end of his career. He's out of contract, so we don't want to obviously call it for him, but hopefully, he gets to make a decision on his own terms based on the injury.
For the West Coast Eagles, to their credit, they really stuck to their guns in the first half, especially through Elijah Hewitt. He had 29. Matt Flynn continues his good form in the ruck with 36 hitouts. Tom Gross with 22. And Harry Schoenberger, he played a fairly decent game with 25 disposals. They had some options up forward in Jack Williams and Sasha Kerner, but not to the great effect that they had during those 3 wins. It's now starting to come unglued for the West Coast Eagles. Okay, they've had 2 straight losses. They're still in touch with the 5, but they were up against some strong teams in the last 2 weeks, East Perth and South Fremantle, and they got slaughtered in both of them. So there's a long list of work for the Eagles to go in before the next half of the season.
Yeah, and even those guys coming in, Hewitt and Schoenberg, they obviously got high numbers, but it's a synergy perspective that South Fremantle have. So West Coast, we know that's the nature of their side. But they had 14 listed AFL players
14,
out there. So again, probably more of a synergy aspect, but they have been better in recent weeks, clearly, so we can't be too harsh when they do lose this one to a team that's going for back-to-back flags.
Well, they've got East Fremantle in 2 weeks' time down at the Good Grocer Park, so that could be a game where they have every chance to get the job done over there. But it was the Bulldogs on Saturday that were emphatic in the end, 61-point winners over the West Coast Eagles. We anticipated Perth and Claremont to be a closer affair, but Claremont, you can't stop them at the moment. 6 wins from 6 starts, and they did it in style by 52 points at Mineral Resources Park. 17-9 to 8-11, a 9-6 first half. Really set the tone for the Tigers, but then they followed it up with an even stronger second half. When Perth looked to have challenged, they got to within 8 points, but that was as good as it got for the Demons. And the Tigers, they just went on their merry way.
Yeah, they keep marching on, don't they? I guess any sign that Perth, could be up to the top teams for the moment looks not there, and I think that's a reflection of how dominant Claremont have been as well. Still remaining undefeated, and again, they've scored well over 100 points for another week, and they've made most of the accuracy, kicking 17 goals 9.
17 goals 9, incredible, and again shows how mobile their forward line is. They gave each other every opportunity. When the ball was going into that attacking 50, Claremont did not look stagnant. They looked very fluent. Perth, meanwhile, looked stagnant and often relied on Aaron Clark, who kicked 3 goals, but he was their only effective forward, and in the tail of the forward lines, Claremont won that overwhelmingly, hands down.
They did. They sure did, and their forwards made it pay on the scoreboard, the likes of Van Rooyen kicking 3 goals, and it goes right the way down, and the likes of Alvarez hitting the 30 disposal mark. Bailey Rogers having 27. Ollie Easton did his thing in the ruck. And, that next wave of players coming through for Claremont, really impressive, as well as the veterans.
We'll speak on one of those young players who made an impact later that day, and you had first-hand views on that one a little later on. Bailey Rogers, what I'll say, he's one of the best all-round players in the WAFL. Not only he racks up the disposals, he creates opportunities, but knows how to kick goals as a goal-kicking midfielder. I mean, he's got a Sandover medal for a reason from 5 years ago, and his role, again, has been played to great effect. No one has been able to shut him down this season.
And it begs the question, why isn't he in the state team?
I'd love to know.
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable, and, not to digress too much, but I don't think we've picked our best team. But anyway, those conversations are always, around about the likes of Charlie Constable not playing as well, the reigning Sandover medalist. It baffles you. But anyway, Claremont, they just completely dominated this game at Mineral Resources Park, and they're travelling really well. We know what they can do at home, but away from home as well, they're starting to become a lot more consistent, as done with that win over South Fremantle, and in more convincing fashion this win over Perth.
Would you think that win over South Fremantle has seen Claremont lift up a gear, knowing that they can take on those top opponents and beat them quite, whether it be handsomely or in a close game? I think that win over South Fremantle a few weeks ago has just spurred them on to play even more intense football, knowing that they can beat any opposition.
Yeah, and with all due respect to Perth, I think South Fremantle were that one where if they could beat them, that gives them the real confidence, because they've done it to Perth before, but not so much South Fremantle in the last couple of years, ever since South went on to win that flag last season. I think the confidence is a given.
How good are they? 6 from 6. They can't do any better than that at the moment. Unbeaten, and Ash Prescott has really got them firing. 52-point winners over what was a disappointing Perth down at Mineral Resources Park. And this is the closest game of the round. East Perth and Peel Thunder. We spoke with Jack Sears a little earlier. And East Perth, they came from behind at every change to keep themselves in touch, but Peel just had a little bit more desperation and got home by 6 points, 9-8-62 to 8-8-56. Peel, it's their second win on the trot. And it wasn't just their captain that led the charge with 3 goals. Lockie Tardrew, 24 possessions and 12 tackles. He'd be getting top Sandover votes in this game for sure.
Yeah, you'd think so, along with the likes of Jeremy Sharper, 37 disposals being omitted by Fremantle. Bailey Banfield was impressive, as well as was Nathan O'Driscoll, Cooper Simpson, Oscar McDonald, a lot of the Freo contingent. But just chatting then to Jack Sears, Lockie Tardrew, coming into the WAFL, not the highest profile, but he's right. Like, he captained Collingwood VFL, played 100 games over for the Pies in their VFL. So maybe opposition teams aren't giving him the credit and the recognition that he deserves, because they're so focused on the AFL listed guys that they've become local to here in the West.
They're a more balanced side, aren't they, Peel? Because they're starting to have some focus on some of those local players, including Tardrew and those interstate recruiters as well. Tardrew obviously an interstate, but he's been classified as a local player because he doesn't have any alignment with the Fremantle Dockers. But I think Tardrew, his signing on for Peel Thunder really presented something good for Peel Thunder, and for them to be a more balanced side. Okay, they had about 12 or 13 AFL-listed players in there, which is the usual cap for Peel Thunder in 2026, with it being a 23-man squad rather than 22. But I think Tardrew's addition has made them a more balanced side with the numbers that he's presented so far this season.
Yeah, and he's a spiritual leader from the way we've seen it. Like, he leads by example. He's in and under and does the little things. So, the rest of the team really builds off him.
East Perth, I won't say that it was one that got away, but I reckon that was a game that they should have won, especially with the way they kept in touch and they were able to get some opportunities inside forward 50, because whenever they've gotten going, they happen to lose one. They haven't been a consistent side this year, I'm afraid to say. They're not really hitting top gear. The only time that they have was the week before against the West Coast Eagles. And you talk about performances from Amadou. He was quiet by his standards. He had 11 tackles, though. Stan Wright came back into the side, not to maximum impact with 19. Brayshaw, 25. He was good. So was Scott, 28. Scott Jones, 35. But they're not getting a lot of consistency out of those players, unfortunately. Okay, Brayshaw came back against East Perth, rather than on the Anzac Day game against Perth, but they're not getting the same amount of output from those key players, I'm afraid to say.
Well, hopefully this one's just an outlier for them, but maybe it's just a case of when they are versing, the better teams or the better projected teams, that they're, up to the contest more, and they might just drop their guard a little bit against the lower teams. It's hard to see where Peel are at the moment within that, but you can't be doing that. Obviously, any team can win on any given day,
especially early in the season when you got to bank those wins.
You do. So that would be disappointing, because they are beating, they beat Perth on Anzac Day, as you said, and they're showing that they're up to it. But even back earlier in the season, losing to Subiac, losing to Peel. So I guess they're just still trying to find their best footy.
Don't forget East Fremantle as well, who knocked them off early this season.
Exactly. So you can definitely make a case that they're beating the teams that they perhaps shouldn't, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Let's go now to the next game down at Steel Blue Oval on a bright, sunny Saturday afternoon. And Swan Districts, they turned it on for their loyal home crowd, getting their second win of the season by 42 points, 16-9 to 9-9. A great performance by the midfielders. Jesse Turner, I reckon he staked his claim to being that final state team. And so is this man, William Reedy. Mark of the Year contender, another 3 goals. To the selectors, I say, put him in the team right now.
Yeah, well, great call by yourself and John Townsend across the day, and obviously, of course, that mark a highlight piece. So, yeah, he was outstanding, wasn't he?
Oh, he was brilliant. I mean, he provides that electricity in that forward line. While Swan District's forward line has lacked consistency amongst the other players, William Reedy, he just adds that extra spark. He's got great creative flair inside 50. He's very mobile, does a lot of great things with the ball in his hand, and he can kick goals from any angle. And that Mark of the Year contender, and it is going to be the Mark of the Year, take that to the bank, really shows how versatile William Reedy is as a key forward.
Yeah, and I think he's been doing it for a while, but people probably just haven't recognised it. He just does his thing, and we know he kicks goals most weeks. But
so far, it's his career best season at the moment.
For whatever reason, he's only probably started to get the recognition now. Okay, he's maybe taken to a next level in 2026, but yeah, he's definitely been a more than serviceable player for a long time.
And he's got very good support options as well. Jovan Petrick with 4 goals, he was sensational. Caleb Ernst, who interchanged between a starting ruckman and another tall option up forward, he kicked a couple of goals, and of course, along with William Reedy's 3. Zane True played more up in the midfield on Saturday. He had 24, and Aidan Cartwright, very effective around the ball with 22. That really was a good team performance by Swan Districts. Being out there in the call, seeing it firsthand, they were more fluent with the football, while East Fremantle, okay, they have a lot of injuries. They're a new side, but they lacked a lot of discipline. They were giving away some silly free kicks. They were being controlled at the coalface. They were turning the ball over when going inside their forward 50, and they weren't getting the best out of their more experienced players. And to me, that's very disappointing from an East Fremantle point of view, because Swans, they just knocked them about for all 4 quarters.
Yeah, absolutely. And East Fremantle showed a lot this year. So, yeah, the differential between these sides, they wouldn't have expected that, despite having some high numbers to the likes of Baskerville and Rankin, who were the 2 leading possession getters on the ground. Cleaver with high 20s, 27 to be exact. But yeah, they'll be ruining that. I think maybe for them, a young team needs the state game break. For the other players who aren't playing that, to refresh and reset from here on in.
One downside for Swan Districts, Jarvis Pena went out early in the first quarter with what appeared to be an ACL injury. He had heavy strapping on his knee. Scans are being conducted at the time of this recording. We won't get word for about 24 or 48 hours, but let's hope that it's not too much time on the sidelines. But gee, it's a massive blow for Swan Districts, a very creative half-back defender midfielder who can generate plenty of run from the half-back line. Gee, if they get him out for a long time, then that's going to be their driving force in midfield gone for a while.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It's not as bad as it could be, and he's only starting to go back to his best footy as well. He's had a lot of injuries. Has Jarvis Pena obviously spent a long time on the sidelines last year, so yeah, fingers crossed for him.
Swan Districts, however, they still got the job done, winning by 42 points at Steel Blue Oval. And then the final game of the weekend at HIF Health Insurance Oval, a day-nighter, and again, no real surprise about the result. Class told for Subiaco over West Perth, 15-9 to 7-10. For West Perth, 6 straight losses to start the season. But for Subiaco, it was a win that they wanted to have, regardless of the quality of the opposition. They played typical Subiaco team football, led by the likes of Petricelli with 12 and 7 marks inside 50, and 5 goals to the wily old veteran Ben Sokol.
Yeah, it's he's just continued his ways, isn't he?
Good to see him back, isn't it?
Good to see him back, and yeah, they heard on the call that the pull that Jared Schofield has to bring a player back into the club like him, and yeah, despite some recruiting from West Perth and another year into some youngsters, yeah, things can unfortunately go from bad to worse.
I think it's worse to worse for West Perth with the way they've been beaten in most of those games. Jackson McGowan, he was sensational with 33 disposals. Good young kid, good head on his shoulders, playing some very mature football. Stephen Gyro with 22 kicked the goal. Jack Mayo with a couple of goals as well. But gee, I'll tell you what, who stood out to me was Will Hickmott. Very consistent, 25 disposals, 5 marks and 3 tackles. He's almost in every contest, and he wins the ball. He's so desperate, and he always gets those possessions out of desperation, and that really rubs off on the team. I really like the way he's playing this year.
Absolutely, and yeah, a lot of players, Subiaco, sometimes forget how experienced they can be, with players back and that sort of thing. So yeah, twilight fixture it was, and yeah, West Perth, yeah, I think got to play the kids probably if they're not doing it enough already.
And again, the forward line looked very predictable. Tyler Keitel with 4 goals, but again, he was their only option. No other player kicked multiple goals. Although I've got to give credit to Cohen Livingston. He really held his own against Fraser Rickson. He won his battle against Fraser Rickson, did the former Perth and West Coast Eagles ruckman. So he's starting to show there are signs there for West Perth, even though it's not consistent. Livingston, he was able to get it done and win his matchup.
Absolutely, yeah. West Perth obviously can just go to Keitel a lot of the time, and they had like some Sandon Page down there and some others, but they couldn't quite capitalise in terms of an even scoring performance. Keitel did kick 4 behinds as well, so we can't fault him for kicking 4 goals, but a little bit of inaccuracy to go with it. Kane Bevan was good with 20 disposals and 1 goal, and there's been some talk about the West Coast Eagles having a look at him in the mid-season draft. If they lose Kane Bevan as well, that'll really pull a hole in West Perth team that's already struggling.
Who can fill that hole in the midfield if Kane Bevan does get picked up by the Eagles in the mid-season draft?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to replace. It's probably going to take a combined effort from likes of de Havilland in there. And
would you put Hunter Buick in there?
He's probably not ready. I mean, you can't expect Hunter Buick to, with all due respect, to replace Kane Bevan. He might get a bit of experience, but Hunter Buick, maybe Cooper Buick, because Hunter Buick's still a bottom major, don't forget, in the Colts. So his time's probably still to come.
We'll wait and see. But Subiaco, they look good once again. They needed a win like that, and they got it done in the end. 47 points over West Perth at HIF Health Insurance Oval. Where does that leave the ladder as we head into the state game break? Well, there you have it. Claremont on top, 6 wins out of 6. South Fremantle in second. Peel Thunder jump up to third with their win over East Perth. That sees the Royals drop down to fourth. Subiaco are back in the 5 with their win over West Perth, and Perth, a huge drop in percentage. They drop out of the 5, and the West Coast Eagles also join them outside the 5. Swan District still in touch. East Fremantle with 1 win, and West Perth still yet to win after 6 matches. Okay, let's get down to the votes, Rothy. Player of the Year vote time for round 6. 1 vote I gave to Cooper Clark-Daring. Brilliant debut up forward and kicked 5 goals in that great win over the West Coast Eagles. He's going to be a forward of the future, and the perfect filler, for that void being left by the likes of Strom, who retired last year. Lockie Tardrew got the 2 votes from Peel Thunder. He's a real machine. If you have the ball in your hands, you want to avoid Lockie Tardrew because he's going to get you 9 times out of 10. He executed 12 great tackles and was a real difference for East Perth in their narrow win. 3 votes, William Reedy. He's a machine. He is a freak when he's got the ball in his hands. I said it in that win over West Perth in round 3. When he has the ball in his hands, he creates magic, and he was brilliant, especially with that Mark of the Year contender. 3 votes to William Reedy. 4 votes, Ben Sokol of Subiaco. Just vintage performance in the forward line. 5 goals, back to the great Sokol days of old, the Bernie Naylor medalist. But the 5 votes from the Claremont Football Club went to Bailey Rogers. He is a great all-round player. He's not just a midfielder, he's not just a defender, he's not just a forward. He's what I like to call an all-rounder. Okay, that's cricket lingo, but he plays all round the ground to great effect. And his performance against Perth, just outstanding. So the top gun this week, Bailey Rogers of Claremont.
And interesting to see what happens with the state game, and obviously do not want a loss whatsoever for us. But if we do, unfortunately, not get the result we're after, why isn't Bailey Rogers in the team?
Yeah, come on, Bailey Rogers. The performances that he has, put together in the first 6 weeks certainly would warrant a selection. Now to the leaderboard. After round 6 of competition, Bailey Rogers extends his lead by 1. He is, of course, on 10 votes. Lockie Tardrew, he goes up to 6 votes in second place. Charlie Dean, Hamish Brayshaw, Jarvis Pena and Mitch Schofield, along with Stephen Gyro, each with 5 votes. And 4 votes, Ben Sokol, Tom Gross and Josh Edwards. That's the top 10. 6 votes separating the top 10 after 6 rounds of competition, but it's still early days.
Still is, so it's anyone's game at the moment.
Certainly is. That is the Player of the Year votes. Rothy will dish out his and the WAFL W in just a little bit. After the break, Rothy's Colts report is back, including a young son of an Eagle that created history on Saturday night. We'll also be speaking to Poppy Stockwell from the Perth Football Club on their win over East Perth on Sunday. Back with more after this. It's all thanks, by the way, to Grant's Car Stereo, Sullivan Logistics, Front Row Screen Sport, and of course District Promotions. We'll be back after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the WAFL.
Valentine rides and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The WAFL is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the WAFL on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate.
On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. It's your Monday night recap show on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel and, of course, on your podcast service. Paul Persick and Ethan Roth with you. Colts report coming up in just a little bit, but we're going to get into some Waffle W first up because Poppy Stockwell from the Perth Football Club is standing by ready to join us off the back of Perth's great win over East Perth on Sunday. And, of course, Perth looked very convincing all throughout the afternoon, and Poppy Stockwell joins us now on Around the Waffle to reflect on that performance. Hello, Poppy.
Hey guys.
Great to have you on the show. It was good for Perth to get back into the winning vein. It's obviously been an up and down season for your side, but did you sort of expect the season to be as tough as it is, with it being a second season and a lot of expectations starting to, grow on the team?
I think we came in knowing that the competition would be a lot more even this year. Obviously, a lot of other teams had recruited pretty well. I think for us, we had a lot of external noise and all of that surrounding our list and who we sort of got into our squad this year. So we knew that the expectation was there, but we kind of just stuck to our process and sort of tried to keep ourselves under control, not to let it get to us too much. Obviously, we've probably wanted to have a few more wins on the board, but, that's footy, and credit to all the other teams out there that have just been playing incredibly well. So, yeah.
And what brought you to the club, obviously, coming from South Fremantle and then Fremantle, what brought you to Perth?
It was nothing really specific. It was more just wanting a change. I started at South Freo in the Rogers program and had been there probably, around 7 years. And then, after last year, I just sort of thought a change would be good, just a new environment. And obviously Perth is a new team. This is our second year now. So, just wanting something fresh and new, and it's been really great so far.
And how do you reflect at your time at Fremantle? Obviously very short, but I'm no doubt you have ambitions to get back into the AFLW.
Yeah, definitely. The goal is still definitely there. Freo was awesome. I loved it. It was my dream come true. The experience was great. Just unlucky to not have a full pre-season under my belt while I was there last year. It was quite interrupted, but it was awesome. I loved it. Learnt so much. The coaching staff were great. The Freo girls were great. It was honestly just a dream come true, and just super grateful for that opportunity, and hopefully another one comes. But
Poppy Stockwell joining us here on Around the Waffle from the Perth Football Club. Let's go to that game on Sunday against East Perth, 8-8 to 2-7. Very convincing all throughout the afternoon. Poppy, Perth played some great team football. You yourself, you had a great day out, kicking 3 goals, and your midfield really was sensational against a young East Perth side. A win like that certainly does, the morale, the world of good for the team heading into that state game break.
Yeah, 100%. I think we've sort of struggled with that connection piece the last few weeks, and we definitely felt that connection on the weekend. We're not a very contested team in that sense throughout the midfield, but we definitely picked it up last weekend, this week, when we played. So, once we got that right, we got some really good looks in the forward line and hit the scoreboard well. So, it was really nice to see, and hopefully we can carry that through for the rest of the season. And, a lot of the girls obviously played well, and hopefully we'll get lucky for state selection this week. But, yeah, we'll just have to see.
And yeah, exciting week ahead with the state selection process and the game taking place. So yeah, a bit of I guess a mixed time considering the girls that won't be featuring in that, but then also they get a break as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, hopefully we will just get lucky with the selection and we can all represent the club well. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I think selections in the next few days or maybe tomorrow night we'll find out. So yeah, we'll just hopefully keep playing good footy and yeah, carry out the form throughout the season.
Been quite impressed with Molly Warren this season as the first string ruck for the Perth Football Club. 40 hit-outs. She's averaging around about 35 this season. She's been a really good acquisition for the Perth Football Club. Last couple of years, she's been performing magnificently. What's it like to play alongside Molly Warren for the Perth Football Club?
Oh, she's great. She is. She's just a character, honestly. She's the best. She's so dominant. She is probably one of the most nonchalant footballers you'll ever meet, but no, she's great. We all love her. She shreds every week. She rarely loses, so yeah, it's really good for the mids and good for the mids connection because most of the time they know that Molly's going to win the tap and we're going to be on the end of the ball. So yeah, she's pivotal for our team. Very important.
Always all business on the field, Molly Warren. She's been fantastic this season, and so were you on Sunday and the Perth Football Club. Great win on Sunday against East Perth. All the best for the state game break and for the rest of the season. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Poppy.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Poppy Stockwell from the Perth Football Club joining us here on Around the Waffle. Massive turnaround for Perth. You know, they needed a win like that, and to deliver it in such ruthless fashion was just tremendous. We'll recap all the WAFL W action in just a moment, but it's back. Rothy's Colts report. But the thing that stood to me the most this weekend in Colts, as we get to that Colts report, name sparks a ring a bell, doesn't it? Noah Braun.
I wonder how many times I said that on his name on Saturday night. Yeah, the all-time record for WAFL Colts, 52 disposals, 2 goals. 52. So it's the only player ever to get 50 as well. So the previous before that were 47. A bunch of players on there, the likes of Sam Swaddling last year for West Perth before being drafted.
That's
so
right.
That could be a good omen potentially for Noah Braun. Harley Sparks, who's at the West Coast Eagles, got 47 in his time at East Perth's reserves as well. And even Tom Mitchell in 2011 got 44 for Claremont, of course, went on to win a Brownlow medal. Jake Patmore, the other player to get 47, was drafted to Port Adelaide and spent a bit of time at Claremont. So, yeah, Noah Braun, the only player ever to get 50 disposals and a couple goals as well. So, I mean, on the call, I knew he was on from the get-go. He had 16 disposals in the first quarter, 25 and a goal up to half-time. 37 disposals and 2 goals, 3-quarter time, and then last quarter he got 15 to take it up to 52.
Mother of God, that is a massive haul, isn't it? I heard Mineral Resources Park had to be quarantined that night because Noah Braun had a severe case of leather poisoning, but gee, he was on fire, and if he gets picked up in the mid-season draft, it won't be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, well, he's not eligible for the mid-season draft because he's still in his draft year, but yeah, giving the state 18s plenty to think about. He was disappointed to not make the initial state 18s, but might have just timed his run beautifully to get added late.
Would you think he'd be a call-up for that, especially for the exhibition match coming up?
Yeah, potentially. I think there's probably a few players in front of him playing that sort of wing role or small midfielder role, the likes of Harper Banfield, Finn Yo, Leo Steed come to mind, that he's probably behind still, but it's a great issue to have for depth for WA.
Now some other Colts action in round 6, the last before the state break. Swan Districts won the only morning match. It was their first win of the season against the second-placed East Fremantle. They were terrific, the Swans.
And you were on the call for that, so well done to you. And yeah, Swan Districts, the likes of Jai Debino, 31 disposals, 2 goals, 6 tackles, and 9 marks, was probably best on ground. But a debutant, Sharon Gavil, Ethan Sharon Gavil, kicked 4 goals.
He was magnificent.
On Colts debut. So anytime you do that, you're going to get a mention, you'd have to say. And then the other games were all night games, so 3 out of the 4 in the night. Obviously, we talked about that Claremont-Perth game. They dominated. Charlie Anning was also standout, having 30 disposals and a goal for Claremont, amongst others. Then going over to Sullivan Logistics Stadium, Peel Thunder, they've won 2 games in a row, so they went from no games in the best part of 2 years to 2 games in 2 weeks.
This is like the West Coast Eagles. What year is this? And they're winning games.
Trent Robertson was outstanding with 4 goals. Leo Gillo also really well with 25 disposals as well. So, yeah, they upset East Perth, who are a young developing team, but a credit to Peel Thunder. And then the last game at HIF Health Insurance Oval, closer one, was West Perth defeating Subiaco. West Perth they've struggled a little bit, obviously losing that game to Peel last week, so they bounced back, and Subiaco unfortunately were held goalless in the last quarter. Otherwise they were right in it.
Where does that leave the ladder after 6 rounds of competition, and who has stood out to you in the Colts season so far heading into that exhibition break?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to go past 2 grand finals from last year. South Fremantle undefeated. They do have a couple of buys in a row, being the state game and then their senior team, obviously, versus the Eagles last week. So it'll be interesting to see how they come about, although I know that some of their Colts have been playing either at PSA level or against the 18s in a trial game.
That's right.
So they're still getting a bit of footy under their belt. Claremont obviously only losing the 1 game to South Fremantle, so they're the standout twos. East Fremantle, despite that loss, still in 3rd position, and then a few sides trying to make up the rest of the 5 at the moment. So yeah, Colts, similar to last year, it's sort of those 3 teams at the moment: South Fremantle, Claremont, and East Fremantle doing the bulk of the work.
And Peel Thunder in 6th place, my goodness, after 2 wins in a row.
Yeah, so it's good signs for them, and they've already exceeded last year convincingly, but the challenge for them is to keep doing it. Potentially.
Absolutely. Talked about the Colts being a close season. Well, what about the WAFL W? Let's get into that. Round 7 of the ATCO WAFL W competition, and it started on Friday night with an absolute beauty at the Good Grocer Park. It was gritty, it was contested, and East Fremantle upsetting the apple cart, defeating Claremont by a single point. What a cracking game, 4-1 to 3-6. For East Fremantle, David Eames, he's really got them going well in his first year as coach, and that is a statement win when you're up against the reigning premiers and you beat them.
Yeah, especially with no Noah McNaughton, who was picked up last Monday, so congratulations to her.
Absolutely.
Obviously being picked up to Fremantle in the pre-season draft. So probably, without their best player, and they still managed to win. So credit to East Fremantle for being able to step up in her absence, which they're going to need to do considering she's no longer there.
Absolutely. No, they were brilliant in McNaughton's absence, especially Mackenzie Webb with 20, Amber Canane as well. She too was magnificent. And East Fremantle had no multiple goal kickers, but what I liked about them was their pressure on the ball, and they were well dominated in the inside 50 count, but their pressure on the contested ball, their tackling was just brilliant, because Claremont like to play that open, free-flowing style of football, not just through their midfielders, but they get a lot of options up forward in front of goal. But South Fremantle shut that out completely.
They did, and they're starting to make it a bit of a fortress Friday night footy at Good Grocer Park. They've got a good record there, and of course, Jamie Harkin, Juliette Kelly still got to work high disposals. But Mac Webb, I think she would have had a bit of added motivation against her former side. There's probably nothing better than beating your former side by 1 point.
Doesn't get better than that. Hey, Ava Anderson also brilliant in defence with 17. Claremont, of course, Jamie Harkin at her consistent best with 32 disposals. Jade Musica, a couple of goals up forward. She was their most valuable option. But, they were often second to the ball, Claremont, especially in that second half when it was still pretty much in the balance and they were held to 1 behind in that last quarter. So if you want to win those games, you've got to be first to the ball. And Claremont, it's a bit un-Claremont-like, isn't it? They're usually a dominant side, but it's a lot more close than some may think. The competition is catching up to them, and Claremont, I reckon, found that out to an extent.
Yeah, they won't mind it, though. Obviously, they don't want to lose games, but I think they've probably been waiting for a bit more competitiveness in the competition and to see where they're at as the competition continues to improve.
Is that a win that can spark East Fremantle for a potential run at the 4?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, you can't hurt them, can it? Another win against a quality opposition, the best team that we've seen in the history of this competition. So, yeah, especially for the younger players. And, I thought Amber Canane's ferociousness as well won the ball, but did the little things off the ball as well, really set it up.
That's those little things that make such a big difference, and East Fremantle made those moments count. A 1-point win over Claremont over there at the Good Grocer Park. And this wasn't the only close game of the week. You were there at HIF Health Insurance Oval for a real turnabout. West Perth were in control at halftime. They led by as much as 3 goals, but never right off the lines. They were brilliant in the second half, winning by 2 points, 6-8 to 6-6. This win certainly lifted the spirits of the Subiaco side, because that first half looked a real downer, because they were held to 2 goals for, and the likes of Shepherd, Steen and Petrevsky were practically nowhere in that first half. But, Baker Denman really got into the girls at halftime, a nice little, fiery talking to, and it got through. With that really regenerated the Subiaco side.
Yeah, they scored the first of the day, but then it was West Perth from there. But yeah, credit to Subiaco for not giving up and showing shades of what a team that got to a preliminary final last year through that midfield contingent of Petrevsky, Steen and also Shepherd, who were brilliant. But yeah, West Perth, we were really disappointed with that one, considering they were up for the most part of the day, and they led by 10 points at 3/4 time. But yeah, Subiaco, they just kept coming. Their belief was high, and Katie Smith kicked 3 goals, including the winner in the end. So from North Beach, she's been a really good recruit to be that focal point up forward this season.
Real tenacious side, aren't they? And it's not just Smith up forward. You've got usual midfield weapons there, but the way they applied the pressure on the ball, I like the way that Subiaco are playing that high-pressure football against any quality opposition. They really got into top gear in that second half, in particular, 46 to 48 tackles. Okay, they had 2 less tackles and were dominated in the marks, but it was their running game in the second half and their tackling in the second half really stood out to me, especially from Paige Shepherd, who's been on a great run of form, another 26 disposals. Elisa Steen also in fine form, and in the ruck too, you know, a couple of players that were pretty much overwhelmed in the hit-outs, but their all-round game too, we'll have to give credit there, was brilliant. Tess Lyons had 7, but was overwhelmed by the likes of Cara Dejaluski, but you know, just the way that her team came to support Lions around the ball, you know, really made a difference in the end, especially when the game was in the balance.
Yeah, and some of those other players stepped up in the last quarter. I thought Caitlin Valonga did really well to set the tone in the last quarter. Yeah, she's really still pretty new to WAFL W footy. Had a debutant, Patrice Crane, who had some moments as well. For West Perth, like Arabella Nelson was outstanding, reads the ball really well, intercepting in the air. Lexi Strachan, Jess Roper had high numbers as well. And yeah, their wingers, Nana Bidfeld, got to work.
Lexi Strachan as well really was efficient from the wing too.
Yeah, she was. And good to see another player who stepped up, 15 years old of age, Trista Smoker, kicked a goal on debut. She was a late inclusion, but father-daughter prospect to watch out for in 2028. So
absolutely.
State 16's inclusion in the tournament that's happened the last couple of years, and footy runs in the family, but she's certainly making a name for herself.
From a team point of view for West Perth, that was one that got away, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I think you never want to look back and be like, that's the loss that, you know, come back to bite them. But, wins are so important in this competition. So hopefully it's just a bit of a blip in the radar and nothing more than that.
But credit to Subiaco creating something that was unlikely at half-time, and they got the job done. So well done to Baker Denman and the Lions. Peel Thunder, they put in a great performance against South Fremantle, didn't they, down at Fremantle Oval, but the Bulldogs just had a little bit more in the tank, especially in the second half, in which they kicked 4 goals to 3 and won by 13 points, 9-3 to 7-2. And South Fremantle through Kate Newson in the ruck, Ash Gomes in midfield, and up forward, a couple of key weapons in Pommersback, Watts, and also Talia Mulder, setting the tone in the second half for a gutsy South Fremantle victory.
Absolutely. South Fremantle, a win that they need to bank. But credit to Peel, they showed that they were right up to it, especially their start where they were 3 goals to 1 goal in the first quarter, but they couldn't maintain it. Unfortunately, South Fremantle probably always felt like their best footy kicked into gear in that second half.
Because disposals per goal quite surprised me as well. Usually these sort of teams would have about 27, 28. You know, it took Peel Thunder 22.3 disposals, South Fremantle 22.1, and it shows the flow of the game. You know, it was fast and flowing from end to end, and it was at a great standard too, and both teams kicked very accurately, and that's what you want in the WAFL W competition. High standard footy, great scoring, great skill, and we got it from both teams, considering that the gap between the South Fremantle and Peel Thunder lists is quite huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was positives all around, both for Peel Thunder and South Fremantle in this one as well. Obviously, Mulder kicking a couple of goals, Pommersback, Watts, as you said, but Cooper kicked 3 and Carter kicked 2 for Peel Thunder. So, sometimes inaccuracy has been a bit of a theme this year, but not on this occasion for both teams.
Considering they led by 2 goals at quarter time, so Peel were actually in front after quarter time, because usually they're a poor starting team, but they weren't on this occasion, and they weren't Wrigley-centric. I've talked repeatedly about how Peel Thunder's midfield is often one-dimensional. They weren't on the weekend. They definitely their best performance of the season. Wrigley with 21, Ebony Bilsich sensational with 15, but she had great impact in support as well. Charlie Fletcher with 14. So, you know, a lot of positives to take in for Peel Thunder. They lost no admirers on the day.
No, absolutely not. And I think, you never want to be celebrating a loss, but I think, so many positives to take for them.
Certainly is, but South Fremantle got the points in the end by 13 at Fremantle Community Bank Oval. And finally, at Mineral Resources Park, Perth, they got the job done quite easily too by 37 points over East Perth in the Sunday match, 8-8 to 2-7. And Isabella Shannon, Molly Warren, Isla Baldwin, and Alyssa Smogovic and Holly Britton, the big 5 for the Demons. They got it done in style. They really were the big difference in the end. And up forward, Poppy Stockwell, we spoke with her earlier, 3 goals for. She was a heavy impact in front of goal.
Yeah, 7 scoring shots. Anytime you do that, you know you're going to be in with a good day and kick 3 goals there. So, Isabella Shannon, some really good form heading into the state game. No doubt she'll be picked for that, you'd have to say. So, the likes of Britain as well, combining with her. And they just shut down the midfield. It sort of felt like Lucy Greenwood was kind of by herself. Some support from Bassett and Brown in there. But, Perth, we don't often say about them, probably the more experienced midfield.
Yeah, they do have a very experienced midfield, and they all played a great role. And we talked about Molly Warren in the ruck. Very nonchalant, always lets her footy do the talking. 40 hit-outs on the day. She was exceptional. Obviously won her match up quite easily against Monica Iannone for the East Perth side. Lucy Greenwood had 20, and Meg Brown had 19. But again, the East Perth side's a very young side, developing side, and they're obviously lacking that experience to take on some of the other big sides. But, they put in an admirable performance. They were only down by 2 goals at half-time. But, this is a loss they can certainly learn from and go into the state game break with the tools that they need to be a better side in the next portion of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Perth, they're a second-year team, but that experience is hard to look past. And, we spoke to Poppy Stockwell about that expectation. And this is a game where they were expected to win, and they did what they needed to. And
expectations are high, obviously, for Perth heading into this second season. And I won't say they've completely exceeded it, but they're performing to it. Obviously, they're getting the wins against teams that they should beat, and they've been competitive against teams where they found it tough. Case in point, South Fremantle on the draw earlier in the season. So, they're starting to get better as a side.
Yeah, but having said that, you also don't want to play your best footy at this time of year.
That's
so I don't think it's the worst thing as they look to continue and build.
Great win for the Demons over East Perth, 37 points in the end. Where does that leave the ladder after 7 rounds and heading into the state game break? Swan Districts, of course, they had the bye, but they're still the only unbeaten team in the competition. 6 wins out of 6. Claremont in second, but that loss to East Fremantle has opened up a bit of a Pandora's box, so to speak, because there are a lot of teams that are now in touch with the top 3. Claremont in second, Subiaco in third, East Fremantle in fourth on percentage. Then half a game behind is South Fremantle, and West Perth, East Perth and Peel Thunder rounding out the bottom half of the ladder. This round, goes to show that the WAFL W is not what it's all cracked up to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Swan District's obviously the sleeping giants at the moment with a bye, and then another one coming up because of the state game. So they're just watching on nicely.
They're the sleeping giants that have awakened after the grand final loss last August. Okay, votes time, Rothy. Who have you got this week for the Around the Waffles WAFL W Player of the Year votes for round 7?
Yeah, kicking it off from Perth, 1 vote, Poppy Stockwell, our guest. 3 goals, 4, and really the difference from a goal-kicking perspective in the end. She gets the 1 vote. 2 votes for another forward, Subiaco, Katie Smith. She kicked the winner. She kicked 3 on the day and, adapting really well to life in the WAFL W. 3 votes from that same game, Arabella Nelson in a losing side, 22 disposals, just marked absolutely everything and read the ball better than anyone else, as she often does. From the same game again, Paige Shepherd with 4 votes. I know she didn't have the greatest first half, but still found the footy and really lifted. And I think for a player who was maybe the third midfielder we referred to, not that they see it that way, it's a team performance, but she's really stepping up and taking that mantle as the number 1 mid this season alongside the likes of Steen and Petruski. And then the top gun for this week, not the most statistical best game she's ever played, but just from what she did with those disposals and also her efforts defensively, Amber Kinane from East Fremantle, just in the midfield, led the way, a complete midfield bull in there, so she gets the 5 votes to top it off. And for the first time this year, I think, no Jamie Henry. Of course, she couldn't poll anyway, but knowing her, she could probably find a way to poll when she's not out there. She's that good.
Yeah, no doubt about that. But well done, Amber Kinane from East Fremantle, the top gun this week. The leaderboard as it stands after round 7, Jamie Henry still leads. It's 13 votes now, ahead of Paige Shepherd. Noel McNaughton's in third, but she won't play again after the AFLW pre-season draft. Amber Kinane's jumped to 4th. Sabrina McKinnon in 5th, and along with Ruby Sargent-Wilson and Juliet Kelly have 5 votes. 4 apiece to Beck Anderson and Claire Ortlip, and Arabella Nelson with 3 votes. So it's still Jamie Henry out on top by a big margin.
Should be tough to beat, but we'll have to wait and see how it shapes up. A few players circling her.
Anything can happen. We've still got a lot of WAFL W football to go. We'll take one final break, and when we do come back, the top 3 plays of the week, and you can make certain of 2 of them. We'll be back right after this.
Take it from me, great things happen at the WAFL.
Valentine rides and goals.
With free entry for kids, future stars on the ground, and a kick to kick at every break. The WAFL is where footy memories start and legends are made. Follow the WAFL on socials or get to a game.
Hey Siri, how to connect Bluetooth to Mac truck?
Sullivan 2, what's your position?
Just a midfielder, mate. On your left. Oh, come on, get out of the way.
Car Stereo Morley, proudly supplying and fitting quality car stereos for over 15 years, selling top name brands like Alpine, Focal, Rockford Fosgate. From a simple upgrade to complete custom systems, stop in and see Grant and the boys at 61 Russell Street, Morley, or visit us online at carstereo.com.au.
And you're back with us here on Around the Waffle. Paul Purse again, Ethan Roth with you, and we're wrapping up our Monday recap show with our top 3 plays of the week, as voted by yours truly and my great right-hand man, Ethan Roth. Number 3. You were there at HIF Health Insurance Oval, and the 2 late goals by Subiaco makes it on this list because of the context of the game and the way that it was played, especially Katie Smith, who kicked the winner. It was a great comeback by the Lions, and those 2 late goals really sum it up.
Yeah, and I wish I gave it a bit more oomph on the call, but obviously there was 6-7 roundabout minutes remaining, so I did say, it could be the winner, it ended up being, so thoroughly deserved to make the list.
Yeah, Katie Smith, of course, kicking that winner. And then number 2. We said it earlier. It's one of the best Colts performances this season. Noah Braun, you called his name 52 times, and he had a severe case of leather poisoning.
Yeah, well, that doesn't do it justice in the end, I think. I don't know when the next time someone's going to get 50 in the Waffle Colts, but he's the only one, and hopefully for his sake he has the record for a long, long time to come, and only bigger things can come for him.
Could be unbreakable at this level of football. There's no doubt about that. Noah Braun at number 2 in our top 3 plays of the week, but there's only one. There's only one, if I'm being honest.
It's going to be tough. If you know it's good if it's beating a 52 disposal performance. That's all I can say.
Well, he's going to be in the state team. Mark my words. William Reedy. Mark of the Year contender, 3 goals. He will be in the state team. If he's not, I'm going to lose my marbles. This mark in particular, that's the mark of the year. Right there. That is a mark of the year contender. Unbeatable.
Will be tough to beat.
Oh, man. He's electric, isn't he? I love watching William Reedy play. In both the Swans games I've called this year, he has been in everything. He's been one of the top 5 players. He's having a career best season. And I'll tell you what, if he doesn't poll any Sandover votes from that game, my head will explode. He is that damn good of a player.
Bit of pressure on, though, for those making those selections, but couldn't agree more. He's a gun.
Oh, no doubt. He is electric, and so are you today. Thanks so much for returning. Great to have you back in the chair, and good luck on Saturday for the Women's State game, calling alongside El Supremo of SA, John Casey. Hope your voice is warmed up for that one.
Yeah, much appreciated. Now, looking forward to the opportunity. Feels like it's, almost a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Hopefully more, but I'll look to soak it in for sure.
It's that case of living that circus dream, mate. You're having a great season so far. Thanks so much for your contributions, Rothy, and thank you for your company watching on the Around the Waffle YouTube channel and also your podcast service, listening wherever you are around the world. Thursday is our massive state game preview, and you'll love who I'm going to be joined by on Thursday night to preview the 2 big state games. The women's state game, that'll be the first of 2 state games on the Saturday at Sullivan Logistics Stadium, and of course the men's state game. We'll try and get a bit of South Australian flavour in as well, so make sure you tune in for that on Thursday, as long as on location as well. We're going on location to state training. We're going to be speaking with the coach and captain of the WA men's state squad. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Enjoy the week ahead, and we'll look forward to your company on Thursday when we look ahead to a huge state game Saturday of footy. Bye for now.